And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway as we are at the World Center of Racing for the continuation of Speed Weeks here on the Mock Season Central Network and the NASCAR Mock Season. I'm Carlos Zimmerman. Welcome to Pro Day Qualifying, a current 30-minute qualifying session. It's currently ongoing down there on the track as you hear and see the cars taking it to the racetrack to see who will be on the front row for the Great American Race, the NASCAR Mock Season Daytona 500. We had a fantastic, and I mean a fantastic, dress rehearsal, as one owner called it, Jack Mitchell, saying for all these teams. And now 45 cars taking to the track to see who will be the one to come out on top with the pole. So why don't we take to the track? Of course, the dress rehearsal I was referring to was the Cookout Clash that went to the likes of Chris Buescher coming out on top with that event to hopefully set the tone for a very good weekend that lays ahead for these team owners and such. Again, this is a 30-minute session, and the fastest two times will be the front row for the Daytona 500 coming up here very soon. As you look at one of the head of the cars, William Byron, he has laid down the fastest time thus far. Everybody going to try and get out there on the racing surface here at Daytona International Speedway. This is going to give us an opportunity to really shine a spotlight, not just on the team owners, but especially the teams that were not participating in the Cookout Clash. So we'll get to talk about a lot of these teams here this evening, if you will. It's daytime in the game, as you can obviously tell. Let's see if our Clash winner is out there on the racetrack, and indeed he is, the 17th of Chris Buescher. Out there on the racing surface, right behind him, the man that finished second in the Cookout Clash, Michael McDowell. Both of them having great runs in the Clash. And they're out there right now trying to log laps. Buescher, this should be his first official time, and he vaults himself to 7th on the board. Right now, behind him, Michael McDowell, 18th. What's going to be key for a lot of these drivers is to try and bunch up in packs and get the fastest time you possibly can. Two-car tandem would work if this was 2011, 2012, but may not be the case if those that are in bigger packs. But looking through the field right now, this is probably the biggest pack we have. This gaggle of 6. That's starting to bunch together, but they're also racing side by side. So it'll be intriguing to see how things shake out once they're able to start building packs. Right now, the front row will be the 24, William Byron, who is sitting in this pack right now, along with the 45. Oh, well, that just shifted in a big way. The 36 of Chandler Smith. Well, that's Zane Smith. Where is Chandler at? We'll try and find him here as we cycle our way through. He has laid down the quickest time of 45.940. Right now, the fastest time on the racetrack. Let's see if we can hunt down Mr. Smith. Trying to find him here. There he is. At 36 for Front Row Motorsports, a team that did not participate at all in the Cookout Clash. Oh, and as soon as I say that, man, this is going to be a bunch of shuffling around again. Only 30 minutes to lay down the two fastest times, but either way, highlighting this guy, a guy that's the only race he's going to run as of this moment. Obviously, that's up to Allison Leal and Stephen III on what they decide to do with their open driver. And of course, a guy that has to race his way into the Daytona 500, and if he can put himself on the front row, he automatically finds himself there. So we'll keep an eye on the front row guys as they currently are showing some fast times. Right now, Zane Smith, 4th on the board. Chandler Smith is 9th. And then Noah Gregson is currently mired back in 25th as Byron and Reddick find themselves once again back on the top 2 spots. Right in front of Chandler Smith, the 41 of Cole Custer, who's not in the Cookout Clash. Dylan Poteet and Cole Deaver, his team owners at Haas Factory Team. And he is just to the top of the board as we start talking about the guy. He vaults himself to the top already around in the draft of a fellow Chevy and Austin Dillon, who is also now second on the board with him. So Dylan Poteet and Cole Deaver, they got a lot of high hopes for this 41 being just a one-car operation, just a few years removed from Haas being a four-horse team. These lap times are going to just continue to shift around as we go. Everybody in the top 10 right now laying down 45-second lap times. These guys pushing in the upper 190s in terms of speed. They're starting to catch up to this trio of cars that are right up here. A couple of the open cars that don't have team owners with them, one of them being the 44 of J.J. Yaley for NY Racing Team. Right behind him in the 66 for this weekend will be none other than Casey Mears for Garage 66 or MBM Motorsports, if you will. Right now, the 66, not very quick on the board at the 28th spot for the time being. All but two cars have long laps so far. The 67 of Corey Hunt. Oh my goodness, we might have an issue. Him and Austin Hill look like they got together in the pits, and oh, that might be a problem. Well, I didn't account for the fact that if we tried to get everybody out there onto the racetrack, that this might cause an issue with the less amount of pit stalls. Did not take that into account. So on behalf of those that are involved here, RCR and 2311, I apologize. Oh, the spoils that this game provides, and mistakes that can be made. Don't worry. We won't have that problem when it comes time for the 500. Anyway, moving on. Carson Osavar back at the top. He's leading this huge pack right here as Daniel Suarez finds himself up against the fence. That was who you heard scraping the wall. Osavar has laid down fast this time, a 45.13. With Ty Gibbs also in this pack. Has logged down a 45.19. That is your front row for the moment, and they've got a really decent margin between them and Zane Smith and Michael McDowell as these guys just continue to log laps out there on the racetrack. If you're tuning in on the live stream, we're glad you're here. I'm Carlos Zimmerman here on pole day qualifying for the Daytona 500 front row. Will be determined here in the next 21 minutes. Let's let you guys chime in down there in the chat as we continue on here in pole day qualifying. 51 of Cody Ware gonna peek out on the racetrack. That is something we're gonna have to keep an eye on during the 500. You remember back to the Clash, Alex Bowman causing that caution with about 5 laps to go. And the problems that caused and ultimately led to Chris Buescher winning the whole thing. So, Cody Ware nearly became that most recent victim. Looking at the 51, Nathan Ormond and Charles Belding at the helm of Rick Ware Racing. And now Cody Ware has not laid down solid times. He's currently 38th on the grid. See where he is this time. He just came out onto the racetrack, so it's obviously not going to be a quick time. But see if he can find himself in the pack and start logging some quicker laps. Let's go check on some other teams that we haven't had a chance to discuss very much about. A 4-car team for RFK, the winners of the Clash. And 4th entry, of course, being the 99 of Corey LaJoy. Currently 34th on the grid right now, and this pack really not moving very fast. A lot of the open cars are in this mix. BJ McLeod, you see Justin Allgaier for the Junior Motorsports camp. But if this bunch can start to speed up a bit, it could generate some quicker times. back. So we'll check back in with this group and see if that starts to shake things up at the top. That looks to be our fastest group. One team that experienced a ton of heartbreak in the clash, that was indeed Trackhouse. And there, man, that was so close to the victory. Ross Chastain, only 26th on the grid right now. Hoping to maybe let that pack behind him catch up, and he's going to be able to generate some speed. It's a three-car operation for Trackhouse. Jack Mitchell and Seth Cole. Both of them piloting Trackhouse this season. There's Shane Van Gisbergen, and it looks like he hasn't been able. He just logged his best lap, and that is 43rd on the grid right now. So he's going to need to get a pack together to try and help him out. And then their other guy, Connor Zilich, is currently on his lonesome right now as well. And he's 42nd on the grid. So Trackhouse not looking solid right now, but obviously this is just to determine the front row. Jack Mitchell said in a statement that, they had a great performance at the Cookout Clash, and they still got to make some adjustments, and this is just part 2 of the dress rehearsal. So we'll see if they can find themselves in a pack before all things are said and done. Just inside 18 minutes left in this qualifying session. Let's check in on Hendrick Motorsports. Boy, did they have a rather tumultuous finish to that Cookout Clash. When Alex Bowman came up onto the track, LePage the field, and collected his teammate Chase Elliott, I'm sure there were discussions between Kyle Matthews and Charles Sanford on what the best course of action was going to be going into the weekend, the rest of it. After that measly incident, Larson had a decent run in the Clash. He's currently 41st on the grid right now, but running on his own. Chase Elliott by himself, he's 36th on the grid. William Byron running in a pack, so he's got a little bit quicker times. He's in 11th and just laid down his fastest time of the session, a 45.554. And then Alex Bowman, the other guy. This is the guy that is really getting under the microscope for this season for Hendrick Motorsports. On whether they will renew his contract or not, or will they go to someone different for 2027, that is yet to be seen. He is 33rd on the leaderboard right now, but he is in this pack, so we'll see if he is able to generate some faster times. When they come down to the stripe, just about 16 minutes left here in pole day qualifying at the line this time. Was it a better time? A little better. 27th. And that'll continue to shift around as the session continues. Anthony Alfredo. 10th fastest time on the grid right now, 45.474. That is out of the Beard Motorsports camp, which is not owned by anybody, but it is managed by Sean Henley. As he manages all the field fillers, is what we call them. He's currently got the 10th quickest time, and the pack behind him is going to assume him before long, so he could even continue to vault himself up the board. He's one of those that needs to race his way into the 500. Coming up in the duels at Daytona later on this week. Let's check in with the Wood Brothers camp. Not because I'm partially biased, because I am in tandem owning with that with Keith Batson. And they're just behind Mr. Alfredo here. Josh Berry had a tough outing in the Clash. Currently mired back in 32nd as they now pick up the 62. They'll go to the high side. That should give some nice momentum here to this inside line. Let's see if much changes amongst this pack. Arguably the biggest pack on the track right now. This time by Barry, not as quick of a lap. As fast as the 45.75. Let's check out the leader, Carson Hocevar. This is probably the other big pack on the track right now. Him and Ty Gibbs. continue to maintain the front row. Zane Smith and John Hunter Nemechek are the ones on the outside looking in, both of them also in this group. But they're not very organized, so it's not going to provide the speed that those guys need to try and overcome the 77 and the 54. But still a lot of time. About 14 minutes left as the 99 returns. That might cause a problem. That's going to slow that whole pack up, so... Well, there goes that point. Let's keep an eye on this second gaggle of cars. Out there on the racetrack right now, led by Eric Jones and Brad Keselowski. Didn't have a chance to talk about much as he was not in the clash. Again, a 4-car operation for RFK this weekend, with Brad K being the leader of that squad for Levi McIntyre and Tim Feigl. Or Fiegel, I should say. I've known the guy for like 13 years. You would think I'd know how to pronounce his name by now. So I've got a couple of cars ducking into the pits here. Mr. Berry will head down and make some adjustments. We'll break this pack up just a little bit. But if you're just tuning in, pole day qualifying to determine the front row for the Daytona 500. Carson Hocevar, the 54 of Ty Gibbs, Spire, and Joe Gibbs. Currently the guys maintaining that front row. Wouldn't that be a jolt for Spire, who's already had a great speed weeks with Michael McDowell finishing second in the clash. And then Ty Gibbs, who didn't participate in the clash, set himself up for some good success into this weekend. So where everything else is, that's really the big pack we have. There's a little gaggle of 4 right here. Bubba Wallace, there is Ty Gibbs, along with Hocevar and William Byron. So their times have slowed down considerably since they are not in a pack formation as we near 12 minutes left to go. Here's BJ McLeod, another one of the open cars here, running for Live Fast Motorsports. That'll be a part-time schedule this season. 3 cars, or 3 drivers in that 78. McLeod, Dan and Catherine Legge. Trying to run up here with Connor Zilich, Joey Logano, and Denny Hamlin. Putting all of them towards the back of the grid for the time being. Let's go ahead and find another big pack. Here they are. As they continue to run. Any of them have they logged their fastest time? Not just yet. Got Briscoe up here. How about Riley Herbst? Wasn't in the clash. And that's where you want to be right now. You want to be at the front of these packs. That's where you'll generate the most speed, especially on that inside line. The non-benefit, though, for Herbst, he just doesn't have the best pushers behind him. And now the 47 and the 41 starting to creep up and build a little bit more compact inside line in this group. But Cole Custer will dump off. Head down to the pits to make some adjustments. Stay on this pack here, because if they continue to just run like they are, that should generate enough speed for them to start leapfrogging some cars, as long as they don't really get 3 wide and kill all the momentum. And go figure, as soon as I say that, Ricky Stenhouse steps to the bottom. And the inside of Casey here's with Austin Dillon up there, J.J. Yaley and company. So we've hit the 10-minute mark. Who's going to be on the front row for the 500? It still remains to be the 77 of Carson Hocevar and the 54 of Ty Gibbs, and they are nose to tail in this pack. Zane Smith has been the only one that has competed with trying to knock off Gibbs. It's his fastest time. A 45.257, about 0.6 off of him. obviously, if you're Hocevar and Gibbs, you're just riding around right now hoping that nobody takes you down, especially in the waning stages of this session. And what's coming up? The Duels of Daytona coming up later this week. And that'll set things up for the Great American Race to be well, we got one car up in the fence all by himself. That's Corey LaJoie in the 99, who I guess just came back out on the racetrack, and he's at the way back of this grid. Chase Elliott is the one that's actually last. That is not going to bode well if you are Kyle Matthews and Charles Sanford. He is still up against the fence here. He's that 99. I don't know if there's something that's broke on that Corey LaJoie Trimble Ford Mustang, but we'll keep an eye on it. Fresh to the top 10 of our open cars, Justin Allgaier has jumped up to a 45.368. William Byron just ahead of him. 45.362. Riley Herbst has also jumped into the top 10. The 45.431 that he just laid down. So cars starting to generate some speed. Here in the back end of this pole day qualifying is Ricky Stenhouse for Hayek. Emmanuel Hartman and Austin Blade leading that group. He'll head to the pits. Boom! A change at the top. Chandler Smith, 45.075. He dethrones Carson Hocevar. And the man that's scheduled right now to only attempt the Daytona 500 is to the top of the grid. It could potentially already steal a spot in the 500 even before the duels begin. And Casey Mears right behind him in the 66. Just laid down a 45.151 to overtake Ty Gibbs. Do they have a faster lap this time? No, not even close. How about some of these open cars? With just under 7 minutes left to go in the session. Higher on the grid. Gonna catch the one here. I hope that doesn't kill too much of the momentum of this group. And it's going to. That inside line, that's unfortunate. As they assume the one of Ross Chastain, who was low on the grid earlier. He's creeped himself up to 22nd. That's gonna split this pack in two. It didn't kill the momentum much of these guys. Does this change anything? Not this time by. And at long last, the 67 of Corey Heim is going to jump into the mix. So I guess they figured out their problems in pit lane with Austin Hill, and about 5 minutes or so remaining in the session, he'll get out there along with Austin and try to log some laps before all things are said and done. 33 though back into the pits after laying down a time. Looks like they've kind of accepted where they're going to be at in the field right now. Big question is who's going to end up on the pole, and right now Chandler Smith finds himself in the best spot to be on the front row with Carson Hocevar. However, you have to take into account if they have an accident in the duels, they'd have to go to a backup car. They would have to drop to the rear of the field for the 500, so that's something they've got to think about. But either way, if you're Chandler Smith and you're an open car right now, you've got to feel pretty good if you can just not even worry about the duel in the sense of I'm going to be racing in the 500. He is still in this large pack, just about 10 or 11 cars. Let's see if they can generate more speed, and maybe somebody else in this group could start to work their way. Time starting to run out. 4.5 minutes left here in pole day qualifying. Austin Cindric leading this group. Currently 5th on the grid right now. He is sitting just about 5/100ths off of getting onto the front row. Of course, Penske, the lone trio ownership. Dylan Young, Michael Norman, and Sean Henley. Looks like somebody's going to be ducking in for the pits here in this pack. Well, maybe not. They just slid up there in turn 4. I thought that's what that was going to mean. No changes this time. Let's see if they go one more lap. As well as they are right now with only 3.5 minutes left to go. This is going to be the pack we will see changes from. Well, there's also that second group further ahead. I didn't see them. Wow, look at this. This pack of cars, 6 on the inside, 5 in the middle, and then 3 in the top lane. They could also come from this group. We're going to see any changes, not just yet. But if they stay together, that could mean one last haymaker thrown before pole day qualifying comes to an end. See Jimmy Johnson in this group. He's the 3rd Legacy Motor Club entry, running a part-time schedule this year for Matt McIntyre and Cody Lamas. On that inside line with Anthony Alfredo and company. His former ride at Hendrick Motorsports in the 48 right up there with them as well. As they come by this time, we'll see. Any more changes going to be made, or is there some ducking into the pits? 3 of them are going to duck in, and that's going to kill all that momentum of that group. 2.5 minutes left to go. If I'm Chandler Smith, I'm feeling pretty good, and it looks like he is going to head into the pits. Well, that's an interesting spot. Anyway, moving on. We're just going to ignore the man behind the curtain there. Don't see any more packs that could potentially dethrone the 36. So if you're Front Row Motorsports right now, and Allison Liar and Stephen Pollard III, you're feeling pretty good that your part-time ride is going to be on the pole for the 500 with Carson Hocevar for Spire to his outside. A little bit of time left, just over 90 seconds. A lot of these cars ducking into pit lane. There'll be any more shuffling near the top. And as they run, it's Smith, Hocevar, Casey Mears, Ty Gibbs, Austin Cindric, J.J. Yaley 6th, Chase Briscoe 7th, Riley Herbst 8th, Austin Dillon 9th, and Zane Smith in the top 10. Everyone has been able to log down times. See some of the cars further back. Colleague not having a session they want to remember. Allmendinger in 25th and Ty Dillon 42nd. Carson Dunn and Jovan Anderson obviously going to need to make some adjustments with the duels coming up. We're inside a minute. Chandler Smith still sitting in the pits, knowing that very likely that he is going to be sitting on the pole for the Great American Race. And how amazing would that be? Got another car here scraping up against the wall, and again, it is still that 99 of Corey LaJoie. Just having a ton of issues. I like this trio right here that could potentially get to the line here. They had a lot of speed down the backstretch. The 1, the 19, and the 10. Really the final hope to try and shake up that front row this time by. Not enough for Ross Chastain. He's 14th on the grid. That's it. Wind down, now in motion. And if things stand for the next 35 seconds, Chandler Smith and Carson Hocevar are going to be your front row for the Daytona 500. It just doesn't look like anybody is going to overtake them here in the waning stages. 10 seconds left of wind down, if you will. As Austin Hill's getting the fence here at the very end of this. The session is officially complete. Chandler Smith for Front Row Motorsports does the unthinkable and is going to be on the front row and, more importantly, on the pole for the 500. So give a call to the 36 team for the car that they put together for this weekend. So there we go. Practice comes to an end. We'll go ahead and do what we got to do here. Export what we got. So how about that for Chandler Smith and Carson Hocevar as they are on the front row for the Great American Race. Casey Mears, oh so close to making it a 2 open part-time front row. Just short of the opportunity there with Hocevar. Ty Gibbs, Austin Cindric, some of the faster rides out there today. How about J.J. Haley showing some speed? Coming home 6th in the session. Briscoe, Herbst, Dillon, and Smith rounded up the top 10. A great run for front row regardless there. 1:10 and 11. Gregson down in 22nd. But, man, front row might be a force to be reckoned with when it comes time for the 500 as you look towards the further back of the qualifying session. Pretty much everybody except the bottom 2 who got out on the track late was able to lay down 45-second times. Something they're going to have to keep an eye on with that Corey LaJoie machine there as he kept scraping the fence. But that will now set the stage for the duels that are to come later on in early portions of this next week to determine the field. The entire field at that for the race. But we do know this. Chandler Smith and Carson Hocevar are on the front row for the Daytona 500 in the 2026 NASCAR mock season. We appreciate y'all joining us. I've been Carlos Zimmerman. Thank you for watching today's Pro Day qualifying as a part of MSC Late Night. That does it for our broadcast day, and we'll have more for you through the weekend and into next week as we continue the NASCAR mock season, part of the Mock Season Central Network family. Enjoy what's left of your Friday. As always, friends, stay safe. Have a pleasant tomorrow. And God bless. You've been watching another presentation of the NASCAR Mock Season on the Mock Season Central Network.